That clicking sound from your ceiling fan. You know the one. Maybe you ignored it for a week, but now you're lying in bed and it's all you can hear. Or maybe yours is grinding, or rattling like something's about to fall apart up there. Either way, you want it fixed without paying someone $200 to come out. Good news, about 70% of ceiling fan noise is just loose screws. And the other 30%, I've helped a lot of people on this channel fix those too. Usually with basic tools and about $30 worth of supplies. So let's figure out what's causing your specific noise and get it fixed. Diagnosing by sound. Before we grab any tools, we need to figure out what kind of noise you're actually dealing with. Your fan is telling you exactly what's wrong. You just need to know how to listen. If you're hearing a rhythmic clicking or tapping that syncs up with the blade rotation, you're probably dealing with loose screws or unbalanced blades. This is the most common noise, and it's usually the easiest to fix. But if it's more of a grinding or squeaking sound, especially one that gets worse when you crank the fan up to high speed, that's your bearings. They're either dry and need lubrication, or they're worn out entirely. Rattling that sounds continuous, almost like a sustained buzzing. That's typically your canopy, the decorative cover piece against the ceiling, or your light kit vibrating against the motor housing. And if your fan is humming loudly but barely spinning, or spinning weakly, that points to a failing capacitor inside the motor. Now that you know what to listen for, let's fix it. We're going to start with the solution that works for the majority of people. The 15-minute fix that solves most problems. Grab a screwdriver. That's the only tool you need for this one. Turn off the power at the circuit breaker first. Not just the wall switch, the breaker. Then get up on a ladder and tighten every single screw you can find on that fan. Start with the screws that hold the blades to the blade brackets. These take the most stress during operation, so they loosen up the fastest. Then check the screws that attach the brackets to the motor housing. After that, look at the screws on the motor housing cover itself. Finally, if you can access it safely, check the hardware where the down rod connects to your ceiling mount. Tighten everything firmly, but don't go crazy and strip the threads. You want snug, not gorilla tight. Turn the power back on, fire up the fan, and listen. For about 7 out of 10 people, the noise is gone right there. But if yours is still clicking, that's when we need to look at blade balance. Balancing unbalanced blades. When one blade is heavier than the others, even slightly, the fan wobbles during rotation. That wobble creates clicking as the housing rocks against the mounting hardware with each spin. This happens when dust builds up unevenly on the blades, when one blade warps slightly from humidity, or sometimes just from a manufacturing quirk. First thing to try is cleaning all the blades thoroughly with a damp microfiber cloth. Pay extra attention to the top surfaces where dust piles up. Sometimes that's literally all it takes. If cleaning doesn't do it, grab a tape measure and check the distance from each blade tip to the ceiling. They should all be identical. If any blade is off by more than 1/8 of an inch, you've found your problem. For stubborn balance issues, pick up a ceiling fan balancing kit. They run about $15 to $35 at any hardware store, and you can use them on any fan in your house. The kit comes with a plastic clip and some small adhesive weights. You clip the plastic piece to the back edge of one blade, run the fan, and see if the wobble changes. Move the clip from blade to blade until you find the one causing the problem. Then stick the adhesive weights on that blade until the wobble disappears. It takes some trial and error. Budget about 30 to 45 minutes to get it dialed in. Now, if you find a blade that's visibly warped or cracked, no amount of balancing will help. You'll need to replace the blade set, which typically costs $30 to $50. But what if your noise isn't clicking at all? What if it's more of a grinding sound? That's a different problem entirely, and it means we need to look inside the motor. Fixing grinding and squeaking bearings. Grinding noises mean your bearings are unhappy. Either they've dried out and need lubrication, or they're worn and need replacement. Here's something important to know before you start taking anything apart. Modern ceiling fans, basically anything made in the last 15 years, usually have sealed bearings. These are lubricated at the factory and designed to last the life of the fan. You can't add oil to them, and you shouldn't try to pry them open. Older fans often have unsealed bearings that you can service. If yours has little oil holes near the motor housing, it was designed for periodic lubrication. For unsealed bearings, you'll need to take the fan down, open up the motor housing, and clean the old degraded grease out of the bearings with a solvent. Then you pack them with fresh, heat-resistant grease made for electric motors. It's about a 2-hour project if you're comfortable with mechanical work. For sealed bearings that are grinding, you're looking at bearing replacement. The bearings themselves are cheap, maybe $15 to $30 for a pair. But the labor runs $100 to $200 if you hire a professional. Here's my honest take. If your fan is over 8 years old and needs bearing work, it might make more sense to replace the whole fan. A decent new ceiling fan costs $100 to $300, and modern DC motor fans use about 70% less electricity than older models. You'll actually recoup some of that cost on your electric bill over time. But maybe your noise isn't clicking or grinding. Maybe it's more of a rattle. Good news, that's usually the quickest fix of all. Stopping the rattle. A sustained rattle or buzz usually comes from the canopy or light kit vibrating against the motor housing. Turn off the power at the breaker, then climb up and try wiggling the canopy by hand. If it moves at all, that's your problem. Tighten the screws that hold it against the ceiling. Same thing with the light kit if your fan has one. Give it a gentle wiggle and tighten anything that feels loose. While you're up there, peek inside the canopy and look for wire bundles that might be touching vibrating components. Sometimes just rearranging the wires so they're not making contact eliminates the rattle completely. If your light kit has glass shades, make sure the bulbs are seated firmly in their sockets. Loose bulbs vibrate and create noise that sounds like it's coming from the motor when it's really just a bulb rattling around. This whole process takes maybe 10 minutes. But there's one more noise type we haven't covered yet, and this one involves the electrical side of things: the humming problem. A loud hum, especially if the fan is also struggling to start or running slower than it used to, usually points to a failing capacitor. The capacitor is a small cylindrical component inside the motor housing that helps create the magnetic field the fan needs to spin. When it starts failing, the motor hums and struggles instead of running smoothly. If you're comfortable working with electrical components, you can replace the capacitor yourself. It's a $5 to $15 part. But here's the critical safety issue. Capacitors store electrical charge even after the power is disconnected. You need to discharge it safely before touching anything inside the motor housing. If that last sentence made you nervous, call an electrician. A service call to replace a capacitor runs about $100 to $200, and the peace of mind is worth it. Keeping it quiet long term. Once you fix the noise, a little maintenance keeps it from coming back. Clean the blades every couple months. Takes about 15 minutes and prevents dust from throwing off the balance. Every 6 months, do a quick check of all the screws and tighten anything that's worked loose from vibration. Once a year, use a can of compressed air to blow out dust that's accumulated inside the motor housing. That small investment of time prevents most noise problems from ever developing, when repair doesn't make sense. If your fan is 8 to 10 years old and you're dealing with multiple issues at once, say worn bearings plus balance problems plus a humming capacitor, replacement usually makes more financial sense than stacking up repairs. Once you're looking at $200 or more in combined fixes, you're getting close to the cost of a brand new fan with better efficiency and a fresh warranty. Brands like Hunter, Honeywell, and Westinghouse consistently get good reliability marks if you're shopping around. What to do next? So now you've got the full diagnostic. Rhythmic clicking means loose screws or blade balance. Grinding means bearings. Continuous rattling means canopy or light kit. And humming with weak rotation means capacitor. Start with the screws. That fixes it for most people. If not, work your way through the other causes based on what you're hearing. Subscribe if you want more quiet living solutions, and click the video on screen to fix the next annoying noise in your home.